Whether you're using DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro or some other editing software, I'm sure once or twice the word plugin has come up somewhere. And I'm going to actually explain what plugins are, why they are useful, and there's some paid plugins, free plugins. I'll explain what the best thing to look for in a plugin is. So, without further ado, let's go into Final Cut Pro. I'm currently using Final Cut Pro because that's my main video editing platform, and also Final Cut Pro has super big selection of plugins. Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve are catching up slowly but surely, but people make plugins for Final Cut Pro usually first and foremost, it seems like to me anyway. Let's start with some basic things that plugins can do. Let's add CamRig here. CamRig I actually put in my free section, and it is a zoom effect plugin. This plugin in particular would let you zoom in and out to a certain area. And then if I click on here, it will actually let me play around with how far I want it to zoom in and zoom out. We're going to take the blur effect away. Something like this. It would zoom in and zoom back out as I'd want it to. I did make the zoom a little bit too much there, but you get my point. Plugins are very helpful with stuff like that. And then you come down to different things like bullet points and all that. I actually have a bunch of plugins, playlists that are both free and paid plugins on the channel. Feel free to check them out. But plugins aren't just limited to like simple emoji stuff or bullet points or zoom in, zoom out, or YouTube callouts and whatnot. No, plugins also refer to effects in some cases. Like if we go to custom, this would be seen as a plugin. And then if we go here, this very intensive plugin, but it's definitely seen as a plugin. And just to be clear, all of this stuff can actually, if you tinker around with motion on Final Cut Pro, of course, or some other video editing software, technically you can make the plugins yourself, and it won't cost you any money at all. But with that in mind, I would like to point out that having to do it yourself, you have to know what you're doing or you're going to mess it up quite a bit. And some plugins, yes, do just do like a simple thing that you could spend like 10 extra minutes yourself on a project. But if you are doing that same thing again, project after project, then it gets kind of whatever. Like, yeah, sure, I could technically find an emoji every time that does something like this. But let's say I want to actually do this on like 5 videos. I'd have to find it for 5 videos, which is pretty crazy thinking about it. So, yeah. Okay, so this would go here, and then it would build up like that. Okay. Yeah, see, it's just one of those things that's what this plugin in particular does. I actually like using it from time to time. It's pretty cool. Now, there is another thing that I want to say, which is plugins can be really intensive on your computer. So, depending on what computer you have, you may have to actually close a lot of, if not most, applications in order to do it. And depending on what plugin you're using, it could take it a little longer to render. Now, me personally, for just about every video, there are certain plugins I do swear by more or less, and they are actually in effects. Audio, to be exact. I even have them in my favorite section, and that's because they are the Crumple Pop plugin. Not sponsored, I just, they're really good for audio. And see, that's just another example how plugins can actually benefit you quite a bit. But since I use both of them stacked on top of each other, usually I have to be mindful of how many things I have open at one given time when it comes to that. And yeah, honestly, this is just a quick rundown on certain plugins and stuff. There are also a set of plugins that I use, and just technically I use it in every video, and that's MTuber 2. I'll actually put a card to that. I did a whole video covering it, but basically I use both this. Yeah, I use both this because it's brilliant, and this. I just I really enjoy MTuber 2 quite a bit. But yeah, I digress. I'm going to actually end the video here. Hopefully this has helped you somehow realize the benefits in plugins, because plugins are very helpful. Some of them maybe, if you look at it from the point of view that technically you can just do everything for free as long as you know how, it seems like a waste of money. But the key term there is you know how. If you don't know how to do that stuff, then, you're kind of out of luck with that. And also, the added fact that some plugins just save so much time, such as this Zoom plugin, for example. Yes, technically I could, I could go ahead and select a certain part of the clip and then make sure to zoom that clip in myself a bit, and then I could add a little bit of, I could go through, and then of course right here add some keyframes and that, and make sure it expands and gets smaller with the keyframes and stuff. I could do that for every clip I wanted every time, but isn't it easier just to drag something like this down? And this Zoom effect plugin, the cam rig I'm talking about, it's a free plugin too. I'll put a card to a video talking more about it as well. Why not? But yeah, I digress. I'm gonna end it here. Hopefully, this helped you figure out the value of plugins. And with that said, I will catch you guys in the future. Later.